Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today we're doing the first episode of State of the Switch, where we take a look at new NES games that have come out on the Nintendo Switch online service, and also we pose a question as well. Before we get to the question, let's talk about what new games have come out on the online service, and if they're any good. So there are 3 games that came out this month, although technically there are 2. So the first game is Kung Fu Heroes, the quote-unquote second game is Gradius, a special edition, we'll get to why it's special a little bit later, and the third game is Vice Project Doom. So if you're unaware of Gradius, it is a shoot-'em-up, also known as a shmup, online. Basically, as you can tell, I suck at it, and the special edition actually gives you more lives and starts you in the middle of a level. Instead of starting off at the main title screen, you actually have different power-ups. All of the different special versions have either different power-ups or items that you normally wouldn't have if you just started up the game. That's why I don't really consider this an addition, because while it's nice, and I'm happy that this is a way to make anyone who's a new gamer feel more comfortable with a certain game, you also have save state features like you would if this were being emulated on a PC, so I don't know if this really should count as a quote-unquote new game per month. Either way, despite how awful I am at this game, I would suggest that if anyone does have the service, they should definitely try out Gradius. So now let's move on to Kung Fu Heroes. And looking at the sprites, if you think that this game is offensive, especially with its depiction of Chinese people, especially when looking at the title of the game as Kung Fu Heroes, you would be interested to know, perhaps, that this is actually based off of a franchise in Japan. Most of the games were either released only in Japan or had changes in the US, called Super Chinese. Yes, you didn't hear me stutter. You didn't hear it wrong. You don't have to adjust your sets. Super Chinese. It is based off of an arcade game. It's really hard to describe what the gameplay is like, and again, just to make sure you remember, it is called Super Chinese. Also, you may have played a game from this franchise before, because Super Chinese 2 was released as Little Ninja Brothers in the US, Super Chinese Land was released as Ninja Boy, Super Chinese Land, on the Game Boy, and Super Chinese Land 2 was released as Ninja Boy 2 on the Game Boy. Also, Super Chinese World, Dear God, was actually released as Super Ninja Boy on the Super Nintendo. While this game was released on this service, I'm literally talking about it right now, it was not released on the US Wii Virtual Console, but it was released on the Japanese one. Interesting that Nintendo thought, you know what? August 2019, let's do it. Just a random August. Just thought, you know what, yeah, let's just drop this. Now it's good. We're good, we got it. Either way, despite my criticism of the sprites, the game is actually fun. So, and it's odd, it's actually really fun. So basically, you're going side by side, trying to A, fight these enemies off, B, get enough points, C, punch stones and other tablets to try to get other items within them to increase your score, and by doing that, you then end up being able to go into what seems like the stairway to heaven to get into the next level. And each and every level presents newer enemies, other kinds of threats, and of course, more things to punch. So overall, it's actually a really fun game. It's just, they changed the name. Why would you not also change the sprites? I don't know. Not a big fan of Nintendo doing that back in the day, but I feel like this is the game where you would do that, though. Either way, it's another game I would recommend. It's really fun, despite some of the stuff I said earlier. Seriously, just look at it. And now we're moving on to Vice Project Doom. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I have not played any of these games that I played today in this video. So getting into this, I thought, okay, we have a secret society, or at least the top 1%, trying to bring about some kind of world change or something like that. And it seems like we're in the future, but also in the 80s, because this was created in 91. So obviously, well, it came out in 91, so obviously it was created in the late 80s. So we have this weird old, oh, it's the future, but like everything's the 80s. So then we have you, the main character, the cool badass, who's a cop, and you're driving. And you're fighting bad guys on the highway. So you think, oh, it's a racing game, great, that's nice, I'm sure. But then you get out of the car, and it's a platformer. and you're fighting these weird creature demon things. And then all of a sudden you have these beautiful cutscenes, by the way, that start off the game and happen throughout the game, and there's black magic? What is happening right now? I thought it was tech, but apparently it's magic? This game is nuts, and I love it so much. I really got to take a look at it, really have to do a proper review of it, because I cannot believe that a game like this just slips by and people just don't talk about it for years to come. It is so weird and awesome, and I definitely need to take a look at it in the future. Tell me if you want me to do a review on it in the comment section down below. This is nuts. This game, and I need to write a script for this, because this game is just nuts. Coming off the top of my head, I feel like I'm going on this weird rant, but it actually all happened. I swear to you, you're looking at the footage right now. This game is nuts. Alright, so now we pose the question, why are people upset about NES games appearing on the Switch online service? Now, here's the thing. So they're not necessarily upset, I would argue, about it just being NES. Some are saying, hey, we've already seen NES games on the virtual consoles, either the Wii, Wii U, and 3DS. Could we get something new? And I hear them on that, but the thing is that even with these NES games, trying to make them work on the Switch isn't as easy as some might think. Now, some are saying, hey, but Matt, there's homebrew. So people are obviously, homebrewing, they're modifying their Switches, and they're able to put NES games and a multitude of other games on their Switch consoles. But here's the thing, and I think this is something that some people forget about or don't think about. The fact is that these people who are homebrewing these consoles, they don't work for Nintendo, so they have no... they're not being held accountable in the same way that Nintendo is if they put something out on their service. So when they put something out on the service, one of these games, they need to make sure that they are bug-free, at least, of course, bug-free in terms of they can work on the console without any major hiccups, without breaking any of the switches, things like that. So trying to make sure that these work on the console for them isn't just a simple button click. It isn't like a port machine. There is no port machine where, a company clicks a button and immediately, bam, game works on that system. So that's why, as much as I would like certain games to be on the Switch service, and really just on the Switch in general, I really do enjoy the Switch so far. Don't have a lot of games for it, but I enjoy what I have so far. Still, it isn't a simple 1, 2, 3 snap your fingers. Same thing with the PlayStation 4 as well. I've talked about some series that I really do enjoy on the channel before, like Tomba, but to get any kind of collection, you can't just snap your fingers, oh, it'll work on the PS4 just fine. There is fine-tuning that needs to be done. Also, you need to have different staff to be paid to basically be an FAQ help desk and things like that, so in case something does go wrong. So when you look at NES games being on the service, I totally understand that there should be, I totally get why some people would want different games on the service. Personally, I'm wondering why we haven't gotten Mother Beginnings, or Earthbound Beginnings rather, Mother 1, on the service. Why haven't we? So I understand people who want different games, but to say that, oh, all NES games are a bit of a problem, that does confuse me personally. Now, for me in general, though, anyone who says, hey, why are we getting free games? I'd rather have a virtual console, that confuses me. And the reason why is because these are free games. The service is not, the games are not the service. The service is getting online. So if someone says, hey, I feel like I'm not getting online, I've even had some trouble getting online with friends, local. So people sitting right next to me in the house, I've had problems with. So I understand if people are saying, hey, I don't like that part of the service because that is what you're paying for. But for me, these NES games are gravy. I could easily go without them. And some people are saying, hey, why can't we just go without them completely? Which again is odd to me because it's something free. It's extra. And again, Nintendo is working a little bit to actually port these games and have these work on the Switch. So to me, it just feels like it's a little nice little extra nugget. Not sure why we need to either remove them completely. Again, that's not everyone is saying this, but there are people that are saying this online as well. So when it comes to these two games in particular, there definitely was an outcry about these two games. People saying, why are these two games coming out? These games are terrible. And personally, I had no experience with either one of these games. And you heard what I had to say before. So I've had no experience with either one of these two games, but I feel like these two games are not the best examples of what shouldn't be on the service. I think that, so many people have just kind of been, there's so many rumblings, so much bubbling, and I think maybe this is the dam bursting for some people, because I can't really see why these two games in particular would cause such an uproar. So yeah, I think that for some people, they understandably want to move to SNES, want to move to N64, but again, the amount of work and care that needs to be done to make N64 games, and even something like GameCube games work on a free console, at this point, we're probably going to be getting N64 or GameCube games, sadly, through collections instead of just on a virtual console of some type, or a virtual service, rather, like the NES service on the Nintendo Switches online. So, you know, it's sad, but it's just the fact that I think with the amount of time and work that goes into this, for free, it would be harder for them to put N64 games on there. Heck, if you see how many N64 games actually had on the Wii Virtual Console, which is actually something that I learned through the video by My Life in Gaming just last year, they did not have almost the entire library of N64 games. Even on the Wii U as well, they're actually missing a few that were on the Wii. So I only bring this up based on the fact that it's a lot harder to do, you know, ports than I think people might be thinking of. And even though these aren't like HD ports or these aren't full-on remakes, still they are being held accountable because they're a company. They're being held accountable. So if people en masse were like, oh, these don't work, I've been trying to play this game for hours and I just can't, etc., etc. If stuff like that happened en masse with all of these games, it would look even worse on Nintendo, even compared to right now where people are saying that these games aren't good or they just don't care about these games. Now, I will admit, though, in the defense of people who are saying some of this stuff, I do think that the special versions, I do think that's a waste when they say, hey, there's 3 games and one of them is a special edition. I don't know about that. But at the same time, though, again, I don't really understand where a lot of negativity is coming from, because this is meant to be the gravy. So it's meant to be the, I don't like gravy to be fair, but this is meant to be the extra, the stuffings, just stuff on the side, not really meant to be part of the main core service. So it just kind of is a little odd to me. But again, you can obviously disagree with me. It's fine if you do. Actually, I would like to say, if you disagree with me, please comment down below, be respectful, but please comment down below, because I would love to hear why this has upset you. It's just, for me, it's not really registering because it's not something that I'm paying for. When I pay for the service, or if I don't want to pay for the service, it's exclusively because I want to go online with my friends and play games with my friends. These NES games aren't really drawing me in. So people can complain and criticize whatever they want to. I'm not telling you not to necessarily. Just from my perspective, it's odd because it's free. I don't know why I would want a paid alternative to pay for these games separately. But when it comes to these NES games, I understand some are upset about the trickling aspect of it. Why only 2? Why maybe not 4 or 5? In that respect, I hear you, but it does seem odd that some people are going with a very burn it down type of mentality. So it's only 2 a week, I don't like that. Why do we even have this? We should get rid of this. It's because it's not about you and I. Like, personally, I don't have a lot of experience with the NES, but I am a retro gamer. I started gaming when I was 5 with the Super Nintendo. So if they start adding Super Nintendo games onto the Switch, yeah, that'll be more my jam. That'll be more my thing. But specifically for the Switch Online service, that'd be my thing. But I don't know. It just seems strange that if it's not for you and if it's not for me, it can't be for some new young gamer out there who's, you know, maybe discovering these games on the Switch for the first time and they're enjoying them. Why can't they enjoy them? Why can't someone who's new to gaming, a bit older, but new to gaming, enjoy some of these games and never had the chance to play? Again, these 2 games today I just mentioned earlier, never had the chance to play them. So this was a new experience for me. And hopefully if you got the chance to play them, it was a new experience for you as well. So either way, as we're wrapping this one up, again, my answer to this question is, that's why people are reacting this way, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Nothing against you, nothing personal. You can think whatever you want to think. I just don't really see where the negativity is coming from. And I just feel as if you want them to add more games, fair. If you want them to add SNES games, definitely fair. Do that in September. Do it. Do it. Come on, what? You're not gonna do it? Do it. Either way, guys, that has been the State of the Switch. Thank you all for tuning in as always, and like I said before, please comment down below if you disagree, and also tell me if you did experience these games either when you were a kid or early on in your life, or if on this specific service just this past month, and tell me what you think about them. Love you, take care, and tune in next time. See ya!